Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Flying with Spurts. We're going to be back in the trusty Tomcat today for a little Tom-Foolery. A little while ago I did a test where I was kind of curious about something I was reading about max range performance. I was seeing that the max range cruise speed was between 0.72 Mach and 0.73 Mach for cleanest and dirtiest configurations, or vice versa actually, but either way. And that really all that changed is altitude as you burn off weight. Because you're not going fast enough to where wave drag is a consideration because you're keeping the speed low enough for the wings to stay out at minimum sweep. Now when I did this test earlier with the heaviest air-to-air configuration, well, heaviest realistic air-to-air configuration, 4 Phoenixes, 2 Sparrows, 2 Sidewinders, and 2 gas tanks, I was able to immediately do a military power climb up to 39,000 feet and sit at 0.72-ish Mach and, some 2,200 pounds per hour per engine with 18,000 pounds of fuel remaining. So I started thinking, what if I make the Tomcat as heavy and dirty as possible? So here we are. We have 8 1,000-pound bombs in the tunnel, 2 fuel tanks, 4 Zuni pods, and 2 Sidewinders. At 78,000 pounds, we are at 105% gross weight. We have almost 14,000 pounds of weapons, which that'll become a problem when it comes time to land, because I believe we only have a 12,000 pound margin between empty weight and maximum landing weight. So I'm going to have to land at effectively 0 fuel in order to make this landing happen. Now, some initial guesswork said that I could potentially make it as far as 1,500 miles with this load. Well, the Marianas map is only 1,000 miles from corner to corner. And then I decided that I was going to try to make this mission extra spicy. Instead of taking off from a land base where I could use all the runway in the world I need, military power, I'm instead using a carrier. If any of you have read the Raven 1 series of books, in the 3rd book, I believe it is, a carrier gets its catapults disabled, and the Hornets and Super Hornets have to try to take off using only the length of the carrier deck. And they have to try to fly to another island where they can get fuel. So they're not concerned about fuel, so they're trying to bring as many weapons as they can and using as little fuel as possible in order to be able to get off the deck. Well, I know I had, early on in the Tomcat's release, done a no catapult takeoff at over 100% gross weight in the Tomcat. What I don't remember is whether or not I had wind over deck. So I thought this could be even more interesting. What if my the nuclear reactor had failed? So we have an aircraft carrier dead in the water. No wind over deck. No catapults. And I have to try to get my 14,000 pound payload 1,000 miles to another carrier. Can I do it? Well, I have faith in the Tomcat. Let's see whether or not that faith is misplaced. So here I taxi all the way to the back. And here we go. Flaps down. Stick back. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes, climbing. Out of burner, gear up, flaps up. Start heading to our initial waypoint where I expect to hit top of climb. Apologies if the recording is of poor quality. I don't know what's going on there. Alright, so try to establish 350 knots to 0.72 Mach. Alright, here we are established at about 36,000 feet, thereabouts, and almost 3,000 pounds of fuel per hour per engine. So, less altitude, more fuel burn than my air-to-air setup. But I still think I can make it the 1,000 miles. Especially seeing as how I'm going to get lighter and more efficient as we go. And that was right about top of climb, too.
Switching to 2.2.
Or planned top of climb. Alright. See you in another 950 miles. Alright. Right before I start diving, I made it to just about 40,000 feet. And about that same 2,200 pounds per hour interesting to note, I still have 52,000 pounds of fuel. So I could have gone for another hour, at least. Now, because I have too much fuel, I'm going to turn on the dump valve and see if I can F-111 this. It's on fire. Curious to what that would look like on a FLIR. Alright, time to start dumping altitude and fuel. Oh. Okay, at about 3,800 pounds, the fuel dump valves turn off. Now I have to just use afterburners. Spin around, 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 around. Alright, I think about 1,800 pounds. That should be a good point to cut off. Go to mill power, or well, begin my actual landing setup. Here we are on long final. See if I can get the left to right line up right. That'll be a challenge. It's just play with DLC and the throttle a bit. Count for the burble. Yeah, I hear you. I know. I can't wave off. All right, first wrap.
Scores, 3-wire.
3-wire, no less. I'll take it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this shows that you can indeed get a Tomcat off of a dead carrier, even with maximum payload and maximum fuel, and still get it over 1,000 miles with 5,000 pounds of fuel to spare. All it takes is patience and a little understanding that this has a cruise speed slower than other fighter jets due to the lower leading edge wing sweep. Stick around after this part of the video, and I'll have a time-compressed version of the TAC view of the whole flight. Thanks for flying with me. See you next time.